I interviewed 5 Amazon wholesale sellers who have scaled their businesses to 7 figures, and one's even making $12 million a year. Here's how they did it. If someone's getting started today, what is the kind of approach? Is it find products that you want to sell first? Is it find wholesalers that you want to do first? What's your kind of like starting step?
I would start with some low barrier suppliers. So, you don't want to go contact Apple computers and Sony and say, hey, can I buy your laptops for half price? Obviously doesn't work that way. You have to work your way up to deals like that. So I'd say any huge brand, just don't even bother contacting it. Your best bet is probably mom and pop small brands where, they have a handful of grocery products, let's say. And, there are a lot of brands out there where you just fill out a form on your website and they'll send you the wholesale price list. And, you buy an order of a few SKUs and you spend a couple $1,000s and then, you sell those on Amazon. And they may not be the fastest movers in the world or the best margin in the world, but it's a way to get in the door. Somewhat of a hard reality in wholesale is that to compete for really fast moving products, you really need deep pockets. It's not for everyone. If you have $5,000 of savings and want to get into wholesale, you can't really, it does exclude you from a lot of products where you want to just focus on like really small niche brands, mom and pop brands, or local wholesalers or distributors. There are distributors that will take orders of $1,000 or less. You may not be getting the best price, but you may get in the door that way, where you start, at a low volume or low margin, and then you can negotiate on your next order, get a little bit better price next time and a little bit better next time, and kind of just grow it from there. But the truth is that maybe not a lot of gurus will tell you is that it does take some deep pockets to just go out and get a big chunk of accounts that you apply for. Like you need to put your money where your mouth is. So if you're starting with a couple grand or $5,000, you want to start at the low stakes spots, which is like, these brands that'll just open anyone up. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how I got started. And then, as you have more capital, you can be more selective. But I would start with the small brands, local distributors. That would be my advice.
When you say deep pockets, can you give me a number?
Deep pockets, I don't mean like deep pockets as in billions. You don't need billions. The biggest wholesale sellers, it's on the order of millions. Maybe there are a few companies out there that are worth $1 billion, but almost everyone else, even top 100 Amazon sellers, they might have 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, but we're not talking billions here. But the deep pockets I mean is like usually part of the negotiation, it's like we'll do a massive order if we can secure this pricing. So that's a major strategy for us. Like we'll buy a truckload of this product. We're not messing around here. We're not a guy, selling out of his basement. We're serious and we're going to, purchase 20,000 units of this product. And that'll usually perk their ears up. And then we say, but we need this price. And then we'll be very straightforward with them. We'll be like, yeah, we do sell on Amazon. We'll even take a rev seller chart or a keep it chart and be like, here you go. We're making $1 each on this product and it costs us 20. That doesn't work for us at your pricing. So how much do we need to buy to get to like the pricing we need? And, we work it that way. And usually it requires a huge amount of money, like 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, 500 grand. So my business is starting to enter like sort of big leagues where we're competing with people that can do $1 million purchase orders or $2 million orders. And so that's what I mean by deep pockets. There are people starting wholesale that do have 6 figures to spend on an order. And if you do, then you can use that to your advantage. Hopefully that clarifies what I mean a little more. We're talking, into the 6-figure range rather than your $5,000 bankroll.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've seen one of your Instagram shots of a purchase order, and it was like 70,000, 50,000, unit line, and there was like a 1,300. I was like, why are you buying that? That's like completely pointless. And we had a little joke about it. You're like, it makes money. I'm going to buy it. So it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually part of the refinement process. So like those are little remnants of the past. When I first started, it's like, yeah, it might have been worth my time to visit a tiny mom and pop supplier and buy the 3 items that work on Amazon and spend $800 on the order. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then as you grow, you kind of filter those out as maybe not worth it anymore and leave that to someone else to sell on Amazon. And that's cool.
How do you find suppliers? Tell me about that.
So my favorite way to find suppliers, like I mentioned earlier, is just using the either the subcategories tool on Smart Scout or using the brands tool. But recently what's been working really well for us is using that subcategory tool and then digging in there and finding some niches within a main category and kind of digging around different niches and looking for brands that aren't dominated by Amazon, that have existing resellers, that appear to be reseller friendly. We kind of just poke around and pretty easily find a lot of quality brands. And then what I'll do is we'll just call up the brand or we'll email the brand, either asking for a wholesale account or simply just asking to be introduced to one of their distributors. And like I said, that will produce a lot of distributor leads, right? So I like to say, like, let your brand leads kind of lead to your distributor leads by taking that approach.
And what does a good brand to you look like? So when you're doing this kind of subcategory looking around, if I'm looking around, I find Nike, great brand, but I'm very unlikely going to also get a direct account. But like, what do you look for? What's the specifics of that?
Yeah, so there's a couple key criteria. So the first is I'm looking for at least one or two products that are selling well, that aren't dominated by Amazon, and that have existing third-party sellers, FBA sellers, right? Because if the brand's got at least one or two products that are selling well, it's probably going to be worth my time. If it's not dominated by Amazon, then I'm probably going to be able to make sales. And then if they're existing FBA sellers, then that means somebody is getting it at a profit from somewhere. So why couldn't I?
When you say selling well, what does that mean? Define it.
The reason I don't usually quantify that is because selling well is going to differ from person to person. So a brand new seller should buy products that they are only going to sell, 10, 20, 30 a month if it meets their monthly profit goal. Somebody like me who's been around for a while, somebody like you, we might be looking for higher volume products, and selling well to us might be, at least 100 units a month or 200 or 500. So that's why selling well is going to be subjective. It's going to be whatever is worth your time.
If I kind of reflect, if you're doing 3.5 million a year and you're doing, I think you said 50 SKUs, you can probably work out the average revenue per SKU and then work that on a monthly basis. And if you half it, you're probably working out the cost per SKU per month, and then go, I'm probably looking to say that every new brand I take on, I probably want to be on the above the average, not below it, so that I can actually increase my spend. So that can be an easy arithmetic to make. But again, it's all about how much cash you have and what's going on. If I were to do 1,000 brands, like how many might I be able to get on board? And I appreciate your numbers are going to be different because you're experienced, you're a bigger operation, you know it. But like, what might be some good numbers for people to look at in like 1,000 brands if they contact?
I'd say, like, in terms of getting a price list and getting a real conversation going, maybe 30% would be a great number to look at. Like 20 to 30% would be probably about right. And then of those brands, I would say 25 to 30% will actually work in terms of like, you can buy the product profitably and resell it. Maybe that's a little conservative. Maybe it's more like half and half. It is a legitimate like sales pipeline. So like a lot of companies or a lot of people would do well to treat it that way instead of like getting discouraged after 2 no's. Consider it like, 1,000 brands, and there's stages of the process. So like initial reach out, and then stage 2 is like a response, and stage 3 is like they actually send you a price list. Stage 4, like you found products. Stage 5, like you're going to buy the product. It funnels down 1,000 brand contacts. You're looking at maybe, 50 accounts, 25 to 50 accounts. And guess what? 25 to 50 accounts is a whole business. I mean, that's enough, more than enough.
What's your approach?
So if they're going to be a distributor, I would want them to be sort of the official brand's distributor, because every brand will have an authorized distributor who's allowed to sell for them. If you're going for a wholesaler, who they could potentially buy from that distributor and then that distributor's buying from the brand. So I try and get it sort of the second in the supply chain.
So the manufacturer or the brand, or the brand manufacturer or the distributor.
The official distributor.
Not down to wholesale.
And sometimes that official, it could be about 2 or 3 official distributors. And usually you can find those on the website, on the brand's website, or you can find it by just calling them up.
And you're not specifically going after a certain brand, for example. You're like, I'm just trying to contact all the distributors and start building relationships, and the brands obviously as well, like those top 2.
So I look for grocery, and I look for something that has a high amount of FBA, or I actually look at my competitors. Usually my top competitors, brag, it's like 200, it's like top 250 seller on Amazon UK. I look at people in like the top 10 and be like, who are they buying from? What brands have they got? And like, why am I not selling those? So then again, it's just like, get to the source, right? How are they buying that at such a good price that they can sell on Amazon? And it's all about getting to the source and contacting them and go and do that.
Does that work more for smaller brands? So let's say if I'm doing Maybelline, like trying to get all the official distributors from Maybelline, I'd imagine everyone would have access to that. So because it's such a massive brand, everyone has the same access. So then perhaps the smaller wholesalers would have a better offer.
I think for smaller brands, the best approach is adding value for them. They
Yeah.
might just want that exposure to Amazon. So if you're a smaller seller starting on wholesale, you could go in with a proposition that I can create listings and unique bundles. You know, I'm part of the Hive, which trains that unique bundles. Just small sort of pitch. So I think that proposition to smaller brands, because they're looking for exposure and getting at, like some brands have said, can you list in Europe for me? Can you create these listings in German for me? So it's going with those value propositions that you can add. So, you know, it could be you're really good at creating listings.
And what about the big brands, the big ones?
They're tough. They're really, really tough.
So that's where you go for the smaller wholesalers.
The big brands. No, I mean the big brands. You know, I've got them for a few £1 billion ones. It's a persistence and then having enough allocation.
We talked about finding accounts. What about opening them? Classic one. We don't sell to Amazon sellers. That's the one that everyone gets a problem with. How do you deal with those questions?
Yeah, so that's probably the most common rejection you're going to get by far. And my response usually is like, typically you want to agree with them, right? It's like, well, hey, good. I'm actually glad to hear that, because there are a lot of suppliers out there that'll sell to anyone and their mother, and that's how the market gets flooded, and that's how prices come down. So I certainly don't blame you for not wanting to sell to Amazon sellers. 95% of them are clueless. But when it comes to me, you know, we've been on the platform for 7 years. We're very experienced. We work with, that's when I would name drop, you know, competitor X, competitor Y. And by the way, I've got a list of products in front of me, the exact products I'm looking to buy. I've got the quantities I'm looking to buy. I even know the price that I'm willing to pay. So assuming we could come to an agreement on price, I'm actually ready to place an order today. So what can we do to kind of get this order pushed through? Right. That's exactly what I would say. And then if they balk at that, it's like, I'm just going to take my money elsewhere, because what you are is you're a customer that just fell out of thin air, like that is just calling them on the phone, asking to put money in their pocket out of thin air. And if they don't want to accept that, then that's when you say like, okay, that's when you kind of pull back and you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to go buy from your competitor. Like, sure, I'm happy to do that. Like, I'm sure they'll take my money.
Tell me about your tech stack in Amazon.
So tech stack on Amazon is, so right now I'm using Sellerboard for profit analytics. We're using Inventory Lab to create and send shipments. We're using SellerSnap as our repricer. We're using Smart Scout to do reverse sourcing and to lock down find suppliers to contact. And then I believe that's our entire stack. So really just those 4 main tools. And then everything else is kind of just like a nice to have at that point.
3 top things, if you had to reflect on them, that helped you reach to the, should we say, your current level?
Yeah, so I would say not taking money out of my business would be a huge one, as I've touched on earlier. Reinvesting profit into more inventory. I think that's essential for growth. So that would be 1. Number 2, I ascribe somewhat to luck, but also just, you know, the harder you work, the luckier you get. I hit on those couple of products during COVID that generated a couple 100,000 profit, and then that really catapulted me. So finding a couple big winners and taking the risk and going all in on those, that would be another big one for me. And yeah, I would say this is a good segue into the rest of the segment too. Having a good Amazon partner, like another seller to bounce ideas off, and helping each other out with best practices, that enabled both of us to grow faster than I think we would have alone.
So let's move on to that kind of like other Amazon seller masterminding. If anyone doesn't know, the last time I interviewed you, you talked about you moved into a warehouse, which I understood had 3 other sellers in it. Was that right?
Yeah, it had 2 other sellers back when I was in New Jersey. I shared a suite with another Amazon seller, and then there's a 3rd one that ended up being in the building too. And then my most recent warehouse in Massachusetts, I share with 1 other seller. We share 10,000 feet. He happens to be my best friend in real life too. We have kind of like carbon copies of each other's business. Yeah, we've been instrumental in each other's growth. A lot of people would shy away from that and have a lot of concerns about like, you know, mixing accounts and stuff. And like, we're very cautious to never do that. We don't share the same internet. We, you know, keep everything separate. It comes down to like a mentality. Like a lot of people are afraid if someone learns one of your trade secrets that it's all over for you and your business is going to burn to the ground. Then there's another mentality, which is like, it's a big ocean out there and we're all just little fish swimming in it, and we can band together and all do things better and we all benefit. That's the mentality I bring to Amazon, and it's done nothing but help me, which is why I'm willing to share even, you know, what some would consider secrets for the business. You know, I'm fine talking about them. I'm not going to just give up all my products, and you know, it's not about being stupid and sharing every single thing, but you can share most and more than you think you can, and you're going to be just fine. There's a time and a place for sharing business ideas and not, you know, if I'm I'm Apple, I'm not going to say, hey, Samsung, here's like my latest chip algorithm or whatever, or like camera improvement. Of course not. Like if you're one of a few big players and it's cutthroat and you're trying to gain any edge you can on the other person, like I understand that. Amazon is just a different ecosystem. It's a huge ocean. There's hundreds of thousands of sellers in it. No single seller can dominate market share of even a small category or a niche within a category. It's just so large out there that you're better off learning from each other and learning best practices than shielding something and trying to protect it. So that's just my thought on that. Others may disagree, but I've had nothing but good results with that mentality. So
I think you're right. I think the one thing which I read, I hear, I talk about, or like I hear from other people is just like the networking, building a network, building a mastermind of similar sellers with the same mindset of you is probably one of the most influential, impacting things that you can do within your business. And generally the cost is nothing, but the upside is like so amazing.
Any kind of final advice you've got that obviously you've picked up on the journey?
Yeah, I would just say like focus on what you want. I know it's kind of going against your advice, but I think the mistake I made was just being like, all right, I'm doing the work. And then I was like, holy crap, I have 50 accounts and I don't know which one to like look at first. Cause it's a lot of work going through a wholesale list, you know? You can use software, you can go through it manually, and it's like going through 50, that's a lot of work, you know? So versus like knowing what you want, getting that wholesale account, or maybe getting 5, and then being able to go through those lists, being more excited. Like, oh, is it my product in here? Is the brand in here? You know, and that's what I do now. I have really one wholesaler that I'm working with, and I spent like all day yesterday just looking through potential products and like putting together my PO. And it's like, it's stressful now. It's like, you know, I'm spending money, it's coming back to me, but it's like, I don't want to overstock. I want to make sure I'm getting the best thing I can. You know, I want to make sure I'm getting things that are going to get in quickly.
It's not books, is it? This is an investment.
Yeah, because you're spending like, I mean, I'm almost to 130,000 spend in the last 6 weeks, and it's like, all right, let's be careful, because I don't want to put all my money in like ASIN that's going to take 4 or 5 months to sell. You know, it's just, I'd rather have that money in my bank account.
Fair. I remember from like a long time ago, I opened up a wholesaler, IT distributor in the UK, West Coast, like one of the top five distributors in the UK. I asked them for a pricing list. They went, we don't normally provide them. It's like, can you just provide me one, please? I'm like, okay, 500,000 products on there. I was like, yeah, this is like not going to happen.
This is what you asked them for.
Yeah, I asked them for it, and obviously I got what I asked for. But yeah, it's like a nightmare.
They must have thought, oh no, this guy's a new guy.
We were. Let's put it that way. And I stopped wholesale. So that's fine. Gavin, any advice from your side?
Yeah, so if you already do away, then you know what products sell. So instead of just blanket asking for wholesalers, why not get wholesalers for the products you're already selling and already making money on?
Yeah.
And you know the sales data.
Exactly. It's already your niche. You already have a niche of OA. Don't make a new niche for wholesale. Just transition to the same thing, but you buy from distributors. And it's kind of like why I sometimes email retail outlets. If I already buy a lot from them, like I just email them, hey, can we get a bigger discount if I drop 10 grand with you or something? Yeah. And quite often they go like, yeah, we'll give you 4 or 5% extra.
I've seen
do bank transfer.
OA stores who are like, we don't sell to resellers. You go, oh, do you do wholesaling? Oh yeah, I'll sell to the department. I'm like, what? It's really interesting. So.
And a lot of people get into wholesale who do away, but they'll start wholesale again. But no, just do the products you're already selling. It just makes so much sense. You're making life a lot easier for finding new products as well, because you already know what to put in. It's like this product name or this brand name wholesale. And the thing is, the reason why that works, because sometimes maybe you have to log into the website to get access to various products that they sell, but sometimes the website's not entirely encrypted or secured. So you might find a wholesaler that has that product being picked up. So you pick up the back-end link to that product.
Yeah, I've seen it before. You like Google it and then you can see it, but you can't get in, but you can see the link exists, or it's on like some weird download. It's just got a list of EAN numbers or UPCs. You're like, these guys have it.
Exactly.
I'll give you a call. Johnny, final thoughts from your side?
So yeah, it's great advice. Go through your existing catalog, existing products, and then group by brand and find those distributors. Really good advice. I'd also say maybe just narrow down on a category that you enjoy, not necessarily in business, but I like food. I know a lot of brands, so I get into grocery because I know that product and I like it. If you know electronics, then look up electronics. I had a friend who started a Korean beauty website, and they got lots of wholesalers and brands pretty quickly because they have an interest in it. So yeah, pick a category. If you like beauty, go into beauty. If you like food, go into groceries, etc., etc. So yeah.
Can I ask, have you tried all 20,000 products in your?
When I was working at the warehouse, I did put on a few bit of weight. So
do what you love.
Yeah.
If you are struggling to find deals and struggling for time, which is a classic thing in this business, have a think about getting a virtual assistant. They cost just $3 per hour. And you know what? We have trained VAs ready to go. They're going to help you out in scaling your business. We support you for 12 weeks and we charge a one-time fee and they can change the game. There is a reason why we've placed over 750 VAs with sellers just like you. Have a look at the link down below. Check out the FastTrackFBA VA Academy today.